Hello everyone, this is Miss Liz. Welcome to my Google Classroom, where we are going to explore the world of pop music history from the year 1960 to current day. Looking at a timeline, that may not seem like much to cover, but music has made drastic changes, even in that short amount of time. Let's get started. For our first lesson/discussion, we are going to do our best to define the genre of pop music. We will also be exploring how it's changed over the decades by identifying trends and top artists throughout the years. So, what is it? Is pop music its very own genre that we can label as a single thing? Pop can be jazzy, it can sound like rock, it can be soulful or silly, it can be made with electronics and synthesizers or real instruments. There's pop hip-hop, pop country, pop reggae, popcorn. The list goes on. Basically, we can say pop music is anything that makes a hit and appeals to the masses. Or, to simplify further, popular music. Okay, that's pretty broad. Let's try narrowing that down a little further to some specific characteristics of pop music. Since the most important aspect is appeal, pop music tends to reflect on existing trends rather than be progressive. This characteristic is driven by the business side of music as opposed to the artistic. Record companies focus on the craftsmanship of the song. Is it short enough to be played on the radio? Does it make people want to dance? Is it easy to remember? Is it in the standard verse-chorus form? Answering these types of questions is a formula to create music that will sell. It's with this formula we often see a one-hit wonder top the charts. Alright then. That may be the formula for selling and distributing, but plenty of pop artists have their own idea for what makes good music. Every so often, artists will start a trend of their own. In the 1960s, during what is called the British Invasion, the charts were filled with progressive music called rock and roll. Dance rhythms influenced by the jazz and blues of Southern Black America underneath vocal harmonies sung in a British accent. It was during this era the world was introduced to the most successful band of all time, the Beatles. Their music was popular and trendy, but it was also very progressive. During the 1970s, rock slowed down. Soft rock and beautiful ballads like the ones written by Elton John became more popular. But as the decade progressed, disco was the trend. Dance clubs were hip and people wanted to boogie. In the 80s, MTV changed the game again. Now the visual music artists got the most attention. Michael Jackson, Madonna, Prince, Cyndi Lauper, all popular, all progressive. Videos full of exciting choreography and colorful costumes. Instead of guitars, bass, and drums, the music was made with synthesizers and even sampling. The 90s rolled around and even more trends began to surface. Latin music took to the mainstream. Artists like Selena and Ricky Martin were topping the charts. Rap and hip-hop were also transitioning from the underground to the mainstream. A few bands, like Nirvana and Pearl Jam, with instruments, again like guitar, bass, and drums, were popular once more. Nearing the late 90s, the teen angst music popularity was fading to make room for the teeny bopper. Late 90s and early 2000s brought us boy bands, girl groups, and of course, pop princesses. Bringing us to the most recent decade, 2010 to 2020. The charts reflect a nice little combination of genres past. Soft ballads sung by Adele, teen girls like Lorde, Ariana Grande, and Selena Gomez. Rap and hip-hop are represented in the mainstream maybe now more than ever. And lastly, there are still a few bands with guitar, drum, and bass making the charts like Coldplay. Whew! What a journey through time! I can't wait to learn more about all these artists with you. Next time, we are going to look a little deeper at the one-hit wonder. We will identify a few that you might recognize and maybe a few new ones as well. We will also look at where those artists are now. What have they been up to since their song hit the charts? Why didn't any more of their music become popular? If you can think of any other questions about one-hit wonders that you might have, post it to the stream. Lastly, be sure to check out the videos and songs posted from this week's lesson. Post a few of your own. See you next time!